Hi, and welcome to another Level P.E. Sport and Society video. This one's on study of equality in sport, and this links to the other videos that I've done on sociology. So if you want to go and check them out first, and then maybe come to this one, that's a good idea. This is focused on AQA, A-level physical education, but it can be relevant to other exam boards as well. Do you know any of these sports stars? So the first one is top swimmer. She's called Simone Manuel, and she's a double Olympic swimming gold medalist. And in 2016, she won those gold medals. She also won silver as well at that same games. And she's the first black gold medalist in Olympic swimming history. The next one is Sanya Mirza. She's still playing tennis. She's from India. Her highest ranking was 27 in the world in singles, and she was number one for doubles and won 6 Grand Slam doubles titles as well. She's seen as a bit of an icon in India and someone who's really broken through the glass ceiling of getting Indian women recognised on a global scale in women's sport and inspiring a generation of young Indian girls. And the last one, probably the most recognisable, is Tiger Woods. Now, he's the first African American to win a golf major when he won the Masters, and he's since gone on to win numerous more. So we're going to look today at equal opportunities, essentially, and we're going to look primarily at these 3 terms. Okay, we're going to look at prejudice, discrimination, and stereotypes. You need to know the difference between these. You might know that already, particularly if you do sociology, A-level, you may know the difference, but you've got to be able to kind of give examples, know the definitions, and know the slight differences, because you do get asked questions with all of these terms in. The key point for here is quickly pause the video, write some things down, write some notes down, see if you can decide which is which without looking at notes, etc. Okay, so pause it now. So let's look at prejudice first. So prejudice is to form an unfavourable opinion of an individual, often based on inadequate facts. So you've made a snap judgment, you're not going to like that person because of a certain reason, and you don't really have the facts to know why. It's just something you formed an attitude towards. Now in sport, this can happen when a coach with prejudice may treat the players differently based on their race and not their ability. So he's got a prejudice against certain races, and he's maybe not going to select them over somebody else regardless of their ability. So that's prejudice. The next one's stereotypes. Now a stereotype, if we went back to that first picture, often black swimmers fall into a stereotype of not being particularly good swimmers because they have less body fat and don't float, etc. And that Simone Manuel helped break down that barrier. So stereotypes, a standardized image making simple generalizations about all members of a group, which allow others to categorize and treat them accordingly. So it builds up something about a certain group, and that can become a real negative. So in sport, a swim coach not selecting black swimmers to elite squads as they believe black people can't swim as well and maybe are not going to make the next progression. A girl not going into rugby as they feel it's not viewed as a feminine sport, so they don't see rugby as a girl's sport, and they feel that they might be judged and they don't want to go into it, or they don't believe girls actually can succeed in rugby. That would be a stereotype. Discrimination. Okay, the unfair treatment of a person or minority group to make a distinction and act on a prejudice. Now, we're hearing this more and more in elite sport, and there have been court cases, one in British cycling, where discrimination charges were brought against someone treating a female cyclist differently and speaking to her poorly. And so that's something we're trying to stamp out in sport, and it's becoming more and more in the media. So in sport, we get overt discrimination. So we get visible and obvious discrimination. These are the people who are actually going to tell you, for whatever reason, they're going to be racist. They're going to act out their discrimination towards you. Okay, so they're going to give verbal abuse of another player. Now, covert discrimination is less obvious. It's hidden. They're not going to say they're racist, but they're going to maybe act out things that are going to work their racism in without kind of implying they are in a verbal way. So, for example, they might deliberately not select someone because of their race. They're going to discriminate against them, or not appoint them as a captain based on their race. Give it to somebody else who maybe isn't as suited. So it's not based on merit. It's based on the person's discrimination. They're discriminating against a race. Now, how sport can increase equal opportunities. So Sport England have got policies for this. This is part of that. Okay, so the first bit is develop a culture that enables and values everyone. So they want sports clubs and national governing bodies to develop a culture that enables and values every single person, regardless of gender, race, age, disability. Create an environment where everyone has the opportunity to either play or compete, officiate, coach, or volunteer. And even, which is really important, run community sport. Okay, they want everybody who wants to be involved, regardless of their background. And then help people overcome potential barriers for those wishing to play sport, particularly from underrepresented groups. So they're aware that some groups are not represented or not participating, and they almost need to actively encourage those groups to come through and start participating and start competing at higher levels. All right, thanks again. Thanks for watching. By all means, go and check out my other A-level videos. I've got a few there on sport and society and one on analysis and evaluation.